Well, good morning. We have been looking at all the different potentials for creation vacations. And today we're going to go into a little bit of detail on some of our creation vacations and get some of your input as well, and be able to share some major design features that we might see. Your hosts, of course, Dave and Mary Jo Nutting. And if you don't see a picture of Dave and Mary Jo Nutting, something's wrong with your screen. Anyhow,
Fine.
so we're going to be looking at this from a creation perspective. I wanted to find out on your homework was brainstorm places for a creation vacation near where you live. And so we're going to find out when you come in, you can always email me those particular ideas as well. Okay, so we're going to keep on going this morning. So Mary Jo, why creation vacations?
Yeah, why a vacation, right? Well, one thing is just you want to get away from the normal routine of day by day and do something different to relax and to refresh. But another reason is to fortify your family. And most people don't think of that when they think of a vacation. They think of just going and having fun. But we
Yep.
believe you can go have fun and fortify your family at the very same time. You can have a great educational experience without all the evolutionary indoctrination if you come to a creation vacation. A lot of you desire quality family time, and it's really hard to make in the busyness of normal life at home. And so this gives an opportunity for families to spend time together in a wonderful setting with other Christian families. And it really is a good time for families together. Memories are really important. And I'm amazed. I've been amazed lately as our son, who's a pastor now, has been sharing so many memories from childhood that impacted him deeply. And so I think as you consider why to have a creation vacation with your family or with your grandkids, is to make those positive memories with them and build memories. And even if it rains all the time or something, you still end up with good memories, it seems like, together, or things that were hard at the time that you can laugh about later on. And so making memories is really important. It's part of building relationships, I think. And that can be your relationship with one another in your family. It could be building new friends. But I think one of the other real benefits is to build your relationship with God, your creator. That is one of our main interests at AOI, is to help people to grow in their relationship with God and with other people. And so relationships is huge for us here at AOI. It also helps you to just get away and spend time in nature. And I don't know about you, but there are times when I just need to, even just walking out the door of the house, I feel better the minute I get out there. And I don't know if it's the surroundings or if there's something, in the house or whatever, but spending time in nature seems to really refresh people, especially.
Mary Jo,
Yeah. Yeah.
They have actually scientifically proven that when you live in the city, there's a lot of electronic equipment. There's a lot of, I think it's the negative ions.
Yep.
That may affect your health, not only your physical, but also your mental health. Whereas if you go to the countryside, if you go to jungle or where there's nature, there's this, I'm not sure if it's the positive or the negative ions that give you a healthier condition. So always getting in touch with nature brings a lot of health. Walking barefoot, they say it's really good for your health.
Right.
What else?
Yeah.
So we want to add a little line on here that says improve your health.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
I see the benefits of getting out many times, and I've I've been to Costa Rica and it seems like I don't know if it's the time of year or whatever, but I often have a cold when I come down and I get to Corcovado and things start to change because I'm at sea level in the jungle and then we go swimming in the ocean. It's
Nice.
really another reason for these creation vacations is, you can come sit in a lecture and you'll learn a lot, but you may forget most of it. Where when you learn experientially, when you've actually been there, done that, seen that, it cements those good memories in that time, what you've learned. It really cements it in your brain. And so we believe creation vacations provide you with fun and friends and yes, facts too, but fellowship and good food usually on our vacations with a purpose, we like to call them.
Mhm. So we're hoping you can come to do a creation vacation. You can do vacations with us, uh, hmm, or you can do vacations on your own. We're going to talk to you about some of the vacations you can do. And if you ever get through the Grand Junction area, we have local tours that are available. Arches National Park, it's not quite local, but it's only an hour and a half to 2 hours away. And Dinosaur National Monument, similar. We have a museum tour we can give you right here in Grand Junction, Colorado National Monument Tour. Um, we can go to Rabbit Valley, look at dinosaur fossils. We can go fossil hunting, some great spots around here. So these are options right here in the Grand Junction, Colorado area.
And
So
that's what we would love for you guys to do is to start making a list of things right around your area, maybe a 2-3 hour perimeter, but see if you can come up with things that would make an interesting creation vacation for you or for
our
someone else.
our very first major tour is coming up here. So we're going to talk first about Yellowstone. It's coming up in a very short time, June 18 to 23. And so what we want to do is give you just a few highlights of what you might see. We might call this the Fire and Ice Tour. And when you think about Yellowstone, you think catastrophe, you think volcanoes. For instance, remember Mount St. Helens erupted in 1980. Oh, everybody thought that was a huge volcano, and it really did change the landscape all around there.
Is that
But
close to Yellowstone, Dave?
it's
No,
actually about 700 miles away in the Pacific Northwest. Okay.
Okay.
And but that would look like a big volcano in the state of Washington. But let's look at the size comparison. You look at that first little cube on the bottom left. This is how much material was ejected out of Mount St. Helens in 1980. But now compare the size of the volcanic eruption with the amount of the injectites from just 3 of the Yellowstone volcanoes. And we're talking about something, when you add all these up, 10,000 times the amount of Mount St. Helens. And so I think the only safe place to visit and watch this particular volcano go off might be the moon or somewhere else like that. It's hard telling. What makes Yellowstone so special? Well, first of all, it was a great big volcano, and all that magma, all that ejectite came out. Well, that leaves a hole in the ground. And that hole in the ground all of a sudden doesn't support the structure above it anymore. So it collapses down to not all the way down in the center of the earth, but collapses down significantly. And it's what is called a collapsed caldera. And that is the center crater of the activity that was going on at Yellowstone. And so all of that in that center part is where you find most all of the Yellowstone National Park thermal features. There are over 10,000 of these hydrothermal features in Yellowstone, and that's a half of the total world's features. There are over 300 geysers. So what kind of thermal features would you see? You would see geysers, and this is what makes Yellowstone famous, right? You think of Old Faithful and other uh, geysers as well. But some of the things I like as well is not just water spouting up in the air, which is great, and the steam, etc. But I like a lot of the hot pools, like Morning Glory hot pool. These are so gorgeous. I like Grand Prismatic. And where do you get the coloration? It comes from microorganisms. And you can tell the temperature of the water from the coloration. And it'll tell you what color microorganism like that particular temperature.
Dave,
And
this reminds me of the Irazu or even the Poás volcano lagoons, the craters. Is that the same phenomena, the color that we see on those lagoon craters?
do you see besides the blue turquoise color, do you see the other yellows and oranges, etc., at Irazu?
I saw mostly the emerald color.
Emerald, right. And I'm
Yes.
not sure if that is a phenomenon of the atmospheric conditions and whatever, but like for instance, all of the yellows and all the oranges are different temperature features. And
Sometimes that turquoise color is the precipitate, chemical precipitate in the water also. We've noticed that.
flakes
We
of
noticed
calcium carbonate or something like that. So that can do
Yeah.
it too.
So we
Okay.
But you don't want to take a bath or go put your swimsuit on and jump in that hot pool because the temperature of this water right here is probably somewhere around 100 degrees centigrade
Wow.
or 212 Fahrenheit. And some of them are even hotter. Steam coming out of Old Faithful is somewhere over 300 degrees Fahrenheit. And that's pretty close. Well,
Wow.
here's Dave and Jill looking at Grand Prismatic. So we have Grand Prismatic and Grand Participants too. So we enjoy these trips, okay? Another type of thermal feature is the vent systems. We call them the fumaroles or smoking. All right. And they are not really spouting a lot of water, mainly steam coming out of there. And people enjoy watching that. They will also enjoy watching these mud pots in Yellowstone, watching the mud go bloop, 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 bloop. And a mud pot just means that it doesn't have enough water to clear nice water and make beautiful pools. It's a muddy mixture here and it doesn't flush out. And so those are the mud pots. Those are the 4 thermal features. And when I look at those 4 thermal features, I look at that and say smoking guns, and I wonder, could that really be still that hot after 600,000 to 2 point some million years old? And I doubt it. I see youthfulness here. And I see changes even from one year to the next that shows you if you have the same relative amount of changes that you are going to, this thing wouldn't be around at all. And another catastrophic event happened with the ice. And the ice depth at Yellowstone National Park was over 4,000 feet deep.
glaciers.
And these are in the glaciers there. In other areas, you find the ice depth on those glaciers 10,000 feet. That's almost 2 miles, or what is that, 3.2 kilometers high of ice. That's a lot of ice. And so, again, when we look at that, we're going to see evidence at Yellowstone of glaciation as well as volcanism. And what we see is a bunch of catastrophic events. So anyhow, so when we actually go tour the Yellowstone, we're not going to be able to see everything in Yellowstone, but one of the things we hopefully will be able to do is see this center part here right away on the first day. We're going to see some of this, and there are amazing stuff. You could spend the entire day right in here. You could. And so we're going to come in from this to the west. We're going to come down here. We're going to visit right in this area right here. And then many, many gorgeous things, many of the hot springs, the geysers are right there. Now, just to give you a idea of the size of this, if you were to go around this loop right here, around that center circle, the knobby one, goes alongside of a lake. The lake is 136 miles long. Okay. And so the distance around this particular just southern loop, which is our first day, was going to a part of our first day and second day, is 155 miles of driving to get around it. And so we'll take that in 2 days. Then another day, we're going to go on the northern loop over here and see some amazing things up there. Hopefully a huge amount of wildlife as well. So what do you expect to see when you're there? Well, a lot of good instruction. As our friend Diane Galbraith is one of instructors. We have Alan and Diane right there. They are professional guides at Yellowstone. So they join us on this particular tour because they love creation. All right. And you'll find Dave doing some speaking, and that is not snow, Oscar. That is actually a type of geologic formation. All of that white stuff. Limestone. It's a limestone is what it is. It's like a cave, but on top of the surface. And then when you team up with your good friends, there's a lot of good instruction. So Mary Jo is one of our speaking instructors as well. And again, you're looking down at Grand Prismatic. What a beautiful spot to go to.
Yeah, those lagoons are really beautiful.
Mm-hmm. And these particular colors are due to the color of the actual microorganisms that give it that color. And they're called thermophiles. And that is basically meaning heat lovers. And I guess you have to love heat if you're going to be in 100 to 300 degree Fahrenheit water. Okay, you gotta love heat. Then there's extremophiles. That means they really love intense heat. Okay, and we'll be talking more of those when we get to Yellowstone. But it's amazing what you see there. Then you've got the beautiful waterfalls for people who love waterfalls.
Wow.
And that's a lot of water going down there. It's amazing. You don't want to try to raft over that. Okay. Anyhow, and then other waterfalls. Yellowstone is just packed with different waterfalls for those people who like waterfalls. I really like those hot springs. They come in so many different varieties depending on the microorganism that's in there. And then there's
that was due to just the minerals. I didn't know there were actual microorganisms living there.
Yep.
You know,
Yeah.
the high temperature. It didn't occur to me.
That's just fascinating, isn't it?
Isn't that fascinating that those colors are not geologic minerals?
It's
not
like some
at all.
sort of like what the algae do. Algae.
The algae bloom
on the sea, or the plankton. They create that effect. Except that it's a different scenario.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep. So there's more of that turquoise that I remember seeing Arenal and the bottom of Arenal looking like that one time.
Mhm.
Okay. But I don't think it was because of the heat or the temperature at the bottom. When you see blue, that is probably at the boiling point of water when you see that particular one. And of course, everybody loves birds. I know you do, Oscar.
Yeah.
And I managed to sneak some pretty good shots there of the trumpeter swans.
Nice.
Those have an 8-foot wingspan.
Wow.
These are big birds, okay? So we can talk more about the design. We love to see the wild mammals too, the elk And wow, look at that rack for those hunters out there. Bison. Some
Right.
people, that's on their bucket list. I want to see a bison, and we
Are
get to
these
see them.
are these under restriction or on extinction brink? Because I've heard they were massively hunted in the past, but
They
what's
were.
their condition right now?
Yeah, that was back in the 1800s. Big buffalo hunters that were coming through there.
Yeah,
But
but
no, it's not extinct at all.
not
Okay.
anymore. They've brought them back. There's lots and lots of bison now. So praise
Yeah.
God.
Yeah.
They
You can
didn't go
even get
extinct.
close to one, but don't try riding it, Oscar.
Oh boy.
We've had them
I-
come right up
Really
next to the
aggressive.
bus. We've had them walk right next to the bus. I mean, you know,
Oh,
And the
nice.
kids love seeing those things, that's for sure. When you actually look at the bison in the background, and sometimes the whole field is packed with those bison, and you'll
What's the
know they're
difference
not
between-
anywhere near extinction.
By the way, what's the difference between an elk and a moose? I think moose are bigger, right? And, do you have moose
No,
there?
the bison is actually a little bit
No,
bigger.
he's-
The moose might be taller.
he's asking a difference between
Moose and elk.
an elk and a moose.
Oh,
Yeah, usually
well-
the moose is a little bigger,
uh,
and they have a very
I think
different.
the moose is bigger,
They
depending
have a
on the
different
age.
antler structure.
Uh-huh.
We've got a
Okay.
picture of moose in
I've
here.
got a picture of a moose here coming up. And these are, most people call them antelope, but they're pronghorns is what they're called. They're very different. We also find mountain goats and sheep. All right.
Wow.
They are found in the park as well. And I love sneaking up on these things and getting pictures with a good telephoto lens. There's a cow moose, and you almost think it kind of has a look of a horse at first, but there's the
Yeah.
bull moose. Notice a very different antlers style.
Yeah.
And they actually can use that antler to scoop things up off of the bottom of a lake. And a lot of people don't know it. This is a mammal, but they can totally submerge for some time and eating pond bottom delicacies for lunch. So, but those are great, and they love the water, of course. And that one was actually mad at us, Oscar, and that's what it's
Really?
actually stomping its feet. And because I think it's protecting a calf that was up in the bushes.
Yeah,
All
you
right.
were kind of close, I see. Oh, a bear.
Finally we get to see a bear. Yeah,
Boy.
that's what you want to see there, Oscar. And many people come to Yellowstone because they want to see a bear. And I think this was on our last tour that we got to see him. Well, not just scenery, but we have good fellowship, good fun, good worship. We talk to people. We have speaking as well at the camp, as well as throughout the entire tours. And so we really pack it in for people who really want to learn something and take it home with them. So we do that. It's a great spot for potential rock hounds or geologists. All right. This is obsidian. Well, obsidian is volcanic glass. So when you see obsidian or an obsidian beautiful arrowhead, think catastrophe again. Okay.
There
It's
must
from-
be obsidian in Costa Rica then.
I'm wondering if
that?
there is.
I'm wondering if there's obsidian in Costa Rica.
Black
Oh.
shiny glass material. I never saw it there.
If we have some sort of volcanic origin, we'll probably have it.
Yeah.
This word kind of rings a bell. Do they do some sort of art crafts with this? I don't know. Is this like
Some of the Native Americans used to use obsidian for arrowheads, points on
Okay.
arrows,
And making knives.
knives. It's
some of the
very,
knives
very sharp when it cracks. It's very sharp, and it'll hold a point really easily. Sometimes they actually used them in surgery. Obsidian.
It's actually
Mm.
sharper than surgical steel, Oscar.
really?
So,
Pretty amazing.
and then there are lots of great activities there, like the water slide that that guy ended up going down a dozen times, probably down that water slide. Just loved it. So,
I'll pass on that. I've never been really good at this type of adventures. Now my back, I really got to take care of my back right now.
well, that's my excuse
When
that
you
I
do
use
that.
not to do that too. I really don't like the colder water.
Right.
The kids
Or you
love
can
it.
go canoeing on a
Canoeing would
gorgeous
be
river.
nice. Yeah,
You would like that. It's
You would love
beautiful.
this one, Oscar.
We
that's
often see
nice.
moose there.
Wow.
It's really cool.
And you make friends while you're doing it, or new friends, okay?
Yeah, that's a
And
good thing about it.
they become lifelong friends sometimes, okay? So anyhow, there's a oh, wait a minute. We
Oh,
know that guy, don't we?
yeah,
That is
Dr.
one of our Costa Rican friends.
Dr. Lang, yeah.
Dr. Lang. So
Is that his wife?
Yep.
that's his wife, yes.
Oh, I
All
haven't
right.
met her.
Or another one was this is at Yellowstone Lake.
Jafet.
You remember him, don't you? Yafet, another Costa
Yeah,
Rican
I
guy.
ran
Both
into
came
him a
up.
couple of months, like a month ago, and we were talking
Uh-huh.
about the ministry and yeah, the possibility of going back. But to me, that would be probably next year. You know,
Maybe you guys
Okay,
can
there
come
you go.
together next year.
Oh, that'd be
try to
nice.
see. Yeah.
And Michelle wanted to come too. She was also applying for a visa. So
We could put have a good a good group here. Like Alex, I think he's also interested. Well, he's now in Europe, and
Right.
but I talked to him about that actually a couple of days ago, and he's considering that. He said it would be a great thing to
Yep.
do.
that would be
Traveling,
wonderful.
yeah, going up there. Yeah.
Question is, do teens love the camp? And yes, they do, and they love hanging out
Oh,
with each
good.
other too. Okay, making new friends, making young friends.
Okay.
Good young friends. Okay. Now this was a real treat for us to make friends with these folks because the mom and both of these kids who are adopted from Romania were 100% blind.
Oh.
And you
Okay.
say, the father called me and said, how would it work? And I said, I'm going to have you make that judgment call because your family better than I do. And
Right.
these folks came, these kids loved Yellowstone. And it was interesting, the way they loved it is because they sensed Yellowstone differently than we do. What would you say about that, Mary Jo?
Oh, yeah. They just had a wonderful, wonderful time. They were able to manipulate around the park just fine. But, they experienced Yellowstone through what they heard and what they
Felt.
what they felt and what they smelled. And so we don't really know how they experienced it, except that I had some of the other kids close their eyes and go with a guide around a few of the sites just to get that idea of experiencing other senses to these parks. It was quite interesting. That family ended up being the stars of the camp that year. Everybody loved them. They just loved their spirit and their adventuresomeness and their desire just to go get it. The little girl, she took off running across a field, and
Really?
she
With her
forgot
cane.
she was forgetting to use her cane though. And she was just running, and she came to a little drop off and she didn't realize it. And she ended up falling right in the river. But her dad was right there, pulled her out of the river. She was just fine. And after she got over the initial shock of it, the thing she was worried about the most is the park ranger had given her a little Yellowstone National Park sticker for her shirt, and she was worried it got wet.
She couldn't see it, but she could feel it. We got her a new one.
Amazing.
Yeah.
We had a ball with that family.
Yeah, we did. Well, so
There's another-
Yellowstone is one of our trips. How about Twin Peaks, Mary Jo?
Yeah, well, there's another camp near Grand Junction in Colorado, in the mountains in Colorado, that we've used this camp for many years for family camps for creation. And we have another camp coming up this summer there. And go ahead, Dave.
Yeah, okay.
A couple of our other staff teams will be up there, as well as, I think we'll have quite a few staff up there this year. The Stepanics on the left and the Johnsons on the right will be doing the teaching. Rich does some in-depth Bible teaching on Genesis 1 and 2 and 3. And Johnsons are doing the family-friendly creation programs with activities and puppets and stuff that the kids really love. And so that makes a wonderful camp too. There's lots of things to do right around there also. If you go up on the top of Grand Mesa, there's beautiful lakes, there's beautiful flowers, there's fishing.
200 lakes on that mountain that the camp is on. 200 lakes.
This is a flat top mesa. It's called Grand Mesa. La
Mesa
Mesa
Grande.
Grande, right?
Okay.
And
You take a
on
lot
the
of
top-
words from Spanish.
Yeah,
Like I
right.
was saying, for example, the fumaroles, we got fumarolas.
Yes, right.
Caldera is a word from Spanish.
Yep,
Yeah,
that's right.
oftentimes you can
I've
see.
seen many common words. The technical words in English usually take it's actually Latin. They're taking the Latin roots.
Right, yeah.
of the
This
language.
is, this here is the state flower, the Colorado state flower, the columbine, and absolutely
Oh.
gorgeous to
Nice.
see. And lots of other beautiful flowers all over the place on Grand Mesa in the summer. We really enjoy taking people up there. The camp also has some fun activities like archery and oftentimes they'll get a ball game going. I think this is what I think they call that Israeli dodgeball or
I
something.
think it was. Uh-huh.
They have races, relays for the kids. They used to have a mini golf course. I think it's still there, but I'm not
Yeah,
positive. on
They do
that.
a frisbee golf course.
A frisbee golf
A frisbee course.
Right.
And
Oh.
this little girl was riding her horse.
course. So again, the purpose of these vacations is to give people a wonderful family vacation and also at the same time equip them in their faith so they can stand firm in their faith.
Yeah.
And it's been a wonderful time. We find that both the kids and the adults really enjoy these camps. They learn a lot, but they also have a really fun time. A lot of these, we might have a campfire and sharing time, worship time together. So these
Uh-huh.
creation camps are excellent. And then, of course, we have these creation tours of Costa Rica. Oscar,
Yeah.
there we go. Oscar's our tour coordinator for these Costa Rica camps. And like we said yesterday, he ended up getting a baptism by fire, you might say. He got thrown right in this last March, and he had to lead the whole trip because we were down with COVID. We weren't able to be on that trip. But Oscar did a great job as not only the tour coordinator, but the main teacher, along with the naturalist guide
Yeah.
that he had with him.
These are quite the tours, actually. So this is one tour that could be on the bucket list of thousands of people if they could break loose to go. All right. People want to go to Costa Rica, kind of like Oscar wants to come to Yellowstone. All
Yeah.
right.
That's right.
Uh-huh. Well, Costa Rica is a small country, can fit in 1/4 the size of Colorado, but it has an amazing biodiversity. Just amazing things that you can see, gorgeous scenery and beauty everywhere virtually you look. And what is the main control for geology of Costa Rica? Well, it happens to be plate tectonics. You're on the intersection of several plates. And when you do it, expect the volcanism, all these little red spots. And there are several active volcanoes, which would be fun to be able to see them erupt at times, isn't it? And anyhow, Arenal in 2006. and we see amazing beauty in the volcanics, and not quite the explosive power of Yellowstone. All
That's a
right.
good thing. It's a good thing. If it had the explosive power, we'd be in trouble. Costa Rica would be really
Well,
obliterated.
Costa Rica is about the size of the whole of Yellowstone National Park.
You know, Dave, at this point, we have the Rincon de la Vieja volcano, which is on the northwest part of the country. That's Guanacaste.
Yeah.
And it's now very active, and they're fearing some sort of really big blast. And well, they never know, but
You never
it's
know.
been like really, really active.
Well,
It's
the
attracting a
newspapers
lot
have
of
to
tourists.
sell. Newspapers have to sell newspapers, right? And so we find that out even at Yellowstone. They said, "Oh, the lake rise is rising in Yellowstone. Is it going to blow? Is it going to blow?" And no, it
Maybe.
just has a normal kind of a flow at
It's
Yellowstone.
unpredictable.
Yeah, but it is. I mean, we still live on a very active Earth. There still
Yeah, we
is a
do.
lot of thermal activity. And I understand, and I don't remember the details, Dave. Maybe you do. We'll talk about it on the trip, but the different quality of the volcanic magma, how much water is in that magma influences whether it's going to be a flowing volcano or an explosive one. And
Right.
I think there's maybe a variety of minerals included too.
It's the amount of silica that's involved, which is a silica. If when it's crystallized, it's quartz. Okay.
All right. Yeah.
So
Okay.
anyhow, so we can be talking about that. Now we all love flowers, but realize in Costa Rica, in that small country, there are 1,400 species of orchids alone, let alone all the other beautiful flowers and beautiful butterflies everywhere you look. My favorite, of course, is the blue morpho. And I'm not sure why it's my favorite because there's others that are just as beautiful, but the blue morpho is not blue. In fact, you look at the underside of the blue morpho and you see a completely different look on a butterfly, don't you? And so the scales or the top side of that blue morpho that we think is blue are actually clear. And so you say, wait a minute, how does it get such intense blue? Well, those blue scales are come as a result of a magnification of the light. The light comes in and only the blue part of the spectrum is actually, you might say, radiated back. In fact, it's not only radiated back, but it is enhanced. So it comes back greatly, greatly magnified. And so a pilot can look at a blue morpho or a group of them from 30,000 feet in the air and see a group of blue morpho butterflies because of the intensity of the beautiful blue colors. So I think, how did that happen? The only way you can do it is this precise spacing of these layers that you see, and you've got millions of layers, but they have to be meticulously arranged with specific accuracy. You're off a little, and you don't have that magnification. And so, question is, how did that happen? By accident. How could evolution produce such specific detail like that? And I think that's one thing that really spells problems with the evolutionary idea. One of my favorite pictures or picture taken object is the scarlet macaw. I love those birds, the beauty and the color, etc. And yesterday we did talk about beauty is not necessarily a mating advantage. Okay, we did mention that. But we see hundreds of hummingbirds. And some places we'd see bunches of them all at the same time. And up in here in Colorado, I'm happy to see one hummingbird. But there are so many down there. And these wings flap at 50 to 200 times per second. And it sips twice its body weight per day of nectar to keep it going, to give it the energy to do that. So when you hear somebody say, well, I eat like a bird, you know, and that's what and I say the hummingbird?
Well,
Just how much do you eat in a day? uh, then the amazing design of the tongue of the hummingbird. We're not going to talk about it right now, but you might ask about all of the energy. What happens about metabolic heat or frictional heat from the flapping of the wings? What's going on? Well, the airflow from the flapping wings help cool the outside of the bird. And the heartbeat beats at 500 to 1,200 times per minute. Boy, that is thumping, isn't it? And the respiration, the breaths, it's 250 times per minute. And that helps cool the inside of the bird. So how did all of these features come together into a bird that supposedly has a great granddaddy that kind of looked like Tyrannosaurus Rex dinosaur? It just doesn't make sense, but that's what evolution is teaching. And so again, another phenomenon that really speaks volumes against evolution. Of course, we love going into the mangrove swamps and or the other type of water channel type of vegetation, and basically looking at the shorebirds, looking at the herons, and other places we see amazing trees that we don't see here in Colorado. I'm glad. But Mary Jo, how would you like to climb that tree?
I don't think so. But, you know, we see thorns and thistles. And if you tie that back to a biblical record, when did the thorns and thistles come in? They weren't there apparently in the beginning. And when God created things, they were all very good. Well, I suppose you can call this very good, but there wasn't the need for it until sin entered the world and the fall, what we call the fall. We read about it in Genesis chapter 3. And we hear now that all creation groans. And why? Because the creation itself is waiting for redemption and the revealing of the sons of God, the children of God, those who have come to have a relationship with him through faith in Jesus. And so we see these kinds of interactions, but we also see evidences in all of these locations that we're going. We see evidence both of creation design and of death and decay and mutations that we read about in Genesis 3-5. And then in many of these locations, we'll also see evidence of flood that we read about in Genesis 6-8.
Mm-hmm. And the dispersion of the people groups.
Yes.
And when you look at the people in ancient Costa Rica, they were not dumb. Okay, they were not primitive people. They actually had metallurgy. They had all kinds of stuff, and so they knew what they were doing. They got off the ark and they took their crafts with them, basically.
Yes, and there are some archaeology sites.
look at us.
Hey, I know that guy.
I know that guy, but photography is just big in Costa Rica. When you go there, make sure you bring about a dozen camera chips for all the pictures that you want to take, and extra batteries too, right, Oscar?
Oh yeah.
But they're beautiful
Colors.
things to photograph, whether you're talking about flowers or even some of the gorgeous crabs.
I was just walking the beach one day and we saw this little crab and I went, whoa, look at the amazing color on that crab, you know. So,
She called me over to take a picture.
I did. I didn't have a camera at that point.
Yeah, anyhow. And everybody wants to go see a monkey. All right.
Yeah.
But we do see monkeys most places we go, or many places.
Four
we go in
different kinds of monkeys down there in Costa Rica,
Yep.
I think. Is that right, Oscar?
Yeah, four
Four
species.
different varieties.
That's yeah.
This is one of the white-faced ones.
Mhm.
Nice.
Well, that's going to be, we think, February 25 through March 5. Those are tentative dates right now for next fall. So we
Next
hope
spring.
you can join us on one of those tours. Okay, one of those that we've been talking about, or you can do your own or whatever. So, question to you, what are you going to do for your next vacation? Okay, you can do it yourself, but if you do, make sure you get all the apps like our Yellowstone app, our Colorado National Monument app, and the guidebook series, so that would help you see understand what you are looking at.
And
But
if you
make
can't
sure
go, you
what,
can actually do a virtual vacation almost by
yeah,
using the things that you see online these days. But it's not the same as being there yourself.
it really isn't. You miss out on so much. And some of the stuff you would miss out on, you don't even think about, is when you are at the big waterfall. And not only do you see the water, but you feel the earth trembling from underneath your feet with the volume of the water. And that's what our blind family could see. They could hear it. They could
Feel the
feel
spray.
it.
Feel
And
the
they
spray from the
yeah,
water.
feel the spray. They loved it when they got a spray from one of the geysers and the spray of the water. It was so exhilarating for them and they loved it. Okay. But they were experiencing Yellowstone like I've never experienced it before. I can tell you that much.
Yeah. I
And
think your senses for other senses are really heightened. We
yeah,
rely so much on what we see and what we hear. And if I think that if people can't see, that their sense of smell and taste and touch really is enhanced.
well, so we hope you can come to one of our camps. We have 3 of the tours to Yellowstone this year that's going on. The one's coming up real quickly. All right. The Twin Peaks coming up at the end of July and very first part of August. And make sure you come to one of those in Costa Rica or all 3. Somebody might want to do that. And so we have people that come to one of our tours. Now they want to go on another one. After
Yeah.
you do that one, they ask, what else do you have? And we're glad to be able to give them another tour as well. And so anyhow, so come join us and share these vacations with someone you know. Maybe you ought to bring someone with you to one of these tours, even if you've been to one of them before. Bring somebody else with you. And
We
we
had
had a gentleman and his wife come to our one of our family camps one time and teaching a creation. Boy, he got so excited. The next year, he had gotten his entire family together and he says, I'm going to pay for this. I'm investing in the lives of my kids and grandkids. And he basically said, I'm paying for it, but your job is you have to attend every one of the programs, every lecture. You've got to be there. You've got to be awake. You got to be saying, and if I see you fall asleep on anything, then you pay for it.
we had
Boy, and he
another
would hold him to it too.
We had another set of grandparents who lived in Texas. They drove all the way to California to pick up their grandkids to bring to one of the creation camps. I think that was a Twin Peaks camp,
That's a
actually.
lot of extra miles.
A long ways, but they had 2 of their grandkids that came to know Jesus at that camp. And so,
Yeah.
they were thrilled. And so we want to encourage people, if you are a grandparent, this makes a wonderful way for you to do a vacation with grandchildren, because you don't have to worry about the food or the housing or registrations or any of that stuff. You just come and you get to spend the time with your grandkids and just experience their pleasure, their joy, their excitement over what they're seeing. And it makes a wonderful vacation for a grandparent with a child. And so that's a good thing. Or you might say, I've got a really good family I want to come with, but we're good friends. Well, talk to your friends about coming together with you. And these vacations are wonderful that way also. So we just encourage you to bring somebody with you.
Exactly.
Yeah, you can get copies of our brochures and things to hand out to other people, or direct them to the website for more information.
That's right. Just like that one lady who came to camp and loved it and came for a number of years. And when the Nances said, I'm looking for a creation type vacation. And Velna pulled this thing out of her purse and said, here, this is what you need right here. And gave them the brochure. And then they came for 10 years. And I
Yeah.
think they're now tied, but I got to get a hold of Val and Molly and say, hey, wait a minute. Velna and her family's coming in August at our next camp. They're going to be ahead of you. So
Okay.
Yeah,
they
and I
love
think
going on these
actually,
tours.
I don't even know that they were looking for a creation vacation, but they were looking
Christian
for
camp.
somewhere that they could go as a family that was like a Bible camp for kids. And, they saw kids going off to camp every year and coming back all excited. And they said, there's got to be a place like that for families, which is where they started. And then they got really deeply involved with creation over the years too. So,
And one of the things too is they do things with your family. For instance, that one family that uh, came from Colorado, and basically they came early, and you lined them out and with other things, Oscar, and for another kind of like a mini vacation before the tour and after, and they loved it. And so girls in that family, they loved the tour too, didn't they,
yeah,
Oscar?
so
They
if
did
some of you,
definitely.
if
Yeah,
some
they're
of you can't
teenage
come
girls.
during the dates that we have set, that's another option for you is
Yeah.
we can get you in touch with Oscar, and he can help you design a do-it-yourself vacation, but it's kind of a halfway between a do-it-yourself and
Yep.
have, have help getting set up what you want to do. He can also connect you with guides that we have actually trained in the past. And so
Yep.
you get a creation vacation. So if the dates don't work for you to come, there's alternate options there. Also with Yellowstone, we can connect you up with the Galbraiths if you're looking for a vacation and dates don't work for you. But I got to
Yes,
warn
I'll
you.
be glad. I'll be really glad to assist anyone who wants to come here and get a customized tour. We have plenty of options. This is a very small country. You can move around very quickly, go up into the mountains and go down to the beach same day, experience different climates, different environments in very short distances. We provide a very customized personal private tours, and this is a very good thing because you don't want to sometimes share a bus with different people, strangers, people that don't share the same beliefs or same thinking, and this sometimes brings problems. So we try to do that and get a really good customized experience.
That's
Thanks.
good.
Yeah, Twin Peaks, obviously that kind of a camp, you need to be there during the dates that we have set. But if you come to Grand Junction some other time, let us know. We can design a customized family experience for you there also.
Mhm.
You know.
Well, anyhow, we appreciate each and every one of you for joining us, and or are going to be hearing the replay of this. And if you would like us to consider other topics for these Zoom calls, please share now what you would like to hear, or now, or email me. That would be great. Dave Nutting at discovercreation.org, and or go to our website, and you'll find that's Dave Nutting at discovercreation.org. And so anyhow, thank you for joining us. And we're going to be cutting this one off here real quick, but I do want to at least greet Joe Eckstein.
Good to see you, Joe. You'll need it.
Good
Hello,
to see you
Joe.
too.
We're gonna get the place up and hopefully get those ready to go. So
Oh, yeah.
Great.
Oscar's,
Oh,
and Oscar needs to get to his meeting. He's applying for a visa so he can come to Yellowstone with us. So
Yeah,
we'll pray for that meeting, Oscar.
thank you. Right now I'm getting the passport. The visa might
Oh.
be some months later.
Okay, all righty.
Yeah.
So the passport's on the Costa Rican end.
Yes.
All right, okay, so that should go pretty well. We just need the time there, right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, yeah. Well, we're excited about having a bunch of people come, we really had fun with the other Costa Ricans that came. Years back, we had a friend, Patricia, that we had met. We actually met her on our very first trip to Costa Rica, which was in 2005, I believe. And and we had a wonderful time with her. And then she wanted to come on one of our tours when we were doing a tour for a Bible college that we used to work with. And so this was I think it was almost 2-week tour. She came up from Costa Rica. It was a camping tour. So we went camping with her. And the first night she came to our home, and I had all this wool hat, wool gloves, wool socks, down blankets for her. And she's looking at me like, what are you getting all that? And I said, well, it can be really cold, because it was like in March, the end of March in Colorado and Utah. And so one morning she was crawling out of the tent, and it was like 22 degrees outside,
Fahrenheit.
below freezing.
Fahrenheit.
But she was really glad she had the warmth at that point. But she went back and she told everybody she wanted to share all these evidences of creation with other people. And that's a big part of why we do these programs too, is we are really looking for people that we can train to do more. And, Oscar and Joe have been through that training, and we're really wanting to expand that. So, other people that send them in this direction. A lot of times people that will come from one of our other trips, or come from, I don't know. Joe, how did you hear about the training? I never did figure out how you heard about the training that we did for that training week.
I'm going to try to talk. I've got low, so
Okay.
Can you hear me? Can you hear
Yeah.
me?
I can hear you. Yes.
Okay, great. Yeah, I'm in the mountains at a Christian retreat center, and there's like no cell signal here except for one spot. So that's why I couldn't join in earlier. So I found out about it from the emails. I was subscribed to the emails,
Okay.
and I've been acquainted with Alpha Omega Institute for years and years. Probably back around like maybe even in the late 90s, or like around the year 2000. I got acquainted with Alpha Omega, so I just been a subscriber to the email list and to Think and Believe, and
Yep.
and so yeah, kind of saw that and saw the Zoom calls made it really accessible for me to be able
Yep.
to just join in. And then, of course, through that, learned about the training week, and God made a way for me to be out there. So
Nice.
We were
Which is
really
really-
excited to have you come.
Yeah, really, we were.
And
It
I
was
like the
a-
fact, Joe, you're already doing something with it. You already were doing something before you came, but after you got the training too, you're continuing to persist in using your knowledge of creation to reach many people, and that's
Yep.
great.
Love that.
Yeah, and I want to do more. So
Yeah.
I'm
Right.
praying about that right now.
And you
Good.
make sure when you see Gary and Mary Parker, give them a big hug and say that's from Dave and Mary Jo Nutting. Okay? Uh-oh, we just lost Joe's voice.
Okay, I will.
Okay, I
All
heard
right,
that.
Joe.
Okay.
I'll be sure to do
All right.
that. Sorry. Cut out. I will do that.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
there were special people in our lives when we went to Institute for Creation Research out in San Diego. And so,
Awesome. They're great
definitely.
people.
They are.
Yeah, and we've taken them fossil hunting in Colorado too.
Oh, nice. I bet they enjoyed that.
Oh, yeah.
They did.